What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another live stream. Apologies to everyone. I had a day off yesterday, man. Sometimes you just gotta, you know, how it is. You gotta have that day just to recover, man. Arsenal make me old and grey if I keep going, so I had to have a day off. Before I introduce today's special guest, he needs no introduction. This video is sponsored by OneFootball. Download their app for all the latest football news, transfers, Arsenal gossip and team news. The link is in the description below. It's completely free. So go and download that. Shout out OneFootball. Now, today's special guest, Arsenal legend Kevin Campbell in the building. How are you, bruv?
Curtis, great to be back on, and I'm sure I'm ready for the battle with you because I know we're going to be battling. I'm ready.
I've had to bring ammunition with me today, bro. You know what? I should have called this show "Restore the Faith" because every time I speak to you, I go away and I think, you know what? The way Kev explained that, maybe I'm being a little bit rational, and maybe So today, I'm hoping you restore my faith that I've been losing in this manager over the past few weeks.
Well, do you know what, Curtis? Curtis, let me just say this. Everybody's opinion is valid.
Yeah.
Right? Because, listen, if you're an Arsenal fan, you would see it a certain way. Another guy would see it a certain way. You might not connect as the same view.
Yeah.
But everybody's view is valid. The reason why you get me on is because I'm going to be speaking for. I've been in the dressing room.
Yeah.
I've been on that side of the inside of the club. So that's why I look at things maybe a little bit differently than the majority. Because I've been blessed. I've been the lucky one who's been on the inside. So and maybe we don't see eye to eye, and that's why I will explain certain things, and still people might not agree with me, which is fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the beauty of it, Kevin. Listen, I appreciate you coming on because, to have somebody who's played at the top level and as down to earth and as humble as you are, it's always appreciated, bro. So thanks as always. Listen, since we last spoke, things have gone downhill a little bit. People are starting to panic. People are having a real go at the manager now. I've even seen headlines like, if we lose to Tottenham, hopefully we don't, obviously, but the tide has turned a little bit, and I think people are starting to question the manager a little bit. I saw you on with Robbie last week, and people said you gave him a real,
hard time. I gave Robbie a hard time.
You gave Robbie a hard time, but it was good to listen to. What's your thoughts? Because you've been in, defending the manager, and you've really said we need to look towards the players a little bit more. What do you think about Mikel Arteta at the moment and what's going on?
Curtis, this is what I will say. Because I truly believe Arsenal fans have forgotten something. They've forgotten. Whether under Arsene Wenger a few years ago, a lot of these same players were inconsistent.
Yeah.
1 week they'll be great. Away from home, they'll be poor. Okay? Come up to Unai Emery, and Unai Emery done some things with them in the first season. 22-game unbeaten run, and we're scoring goals, but we couldn't defend. You could drive a bus through the midfield. You could do all those things. But they done okay. When it came to the crunch, they messed up. 8 games to go in the league.
Yeah.
At home, they didn't get it done. In the Europa League final, well, let's forget about that. Same players. Next season, it all imploded.
Yeah.
Freddie comes in, takes over, does a little bit, and then Mikel Arteta takes over. And when Mikel Arteta took over, you kind of saw a snapshot of what it could be like.
Yeah, yeah.
Then we kind of went down. There was the COVID. Then after COVID, it was still down. Then we started rising up. We done great in the FA Cup. The one-off games was brilliant. But this is the thing, Curtis. After we had a bit of success in the FA Cup, We get back for pre-season. We beat Liverpool in the Community Shield. All of a sudden, everybody's thinking, oh my God, look what he's doing with the team. These are the same players. They're virtually the same players. And for once, we have a manager who, how many times have we been on talking about we need a centre back, we need a centre midfielder, etc. We've been saying that for a decade. Finally, the manager in his first transfer window buys players for those two spots.
Yeah.
But generally, it's still the same team. It's still the same weak-minded players. So, again, once we go up, we come down. They've had a little bit of success, and they're feeling good about themselves, Curtis.
Yeah.
But it's still the same players. They're still underachievers. They've still been on that curve. So, Mikel Arteta done well to get that out of them. But we know in the long haul, if we're honest with ourselves, we know these players aren't good enough. We know that. So that's the dilemma for Arteta. And yes, it rests at the manager's door, 100%. He needs a few windows to make this team his. But he has to work with what he's got, Curtis. That's what he has to do. And he's made some changes, but we know that the players can't do it on a consistent basis. But as fans, we go crazy when they dip. And when they dip, we go crazy because why isn't he getting a tune out of them? No, Wenger never got a tune out of them in the end. Emery never got a tune out of them. Freddie never got a tune out of them. And now they're reverting back to type under Arteta. So it is frustrating. I get that, my man.
Kev, I'm gonna flip it. Of course, I'm gonna flip it.
Flip it, bruv.
I'm gonna flip it. We're 14th in the league, right? We've had our worst start in Premier League history after 10 games. It's also our lowest goals scored after 10 games as well.
Yep.
Now, Unai Emery did bottle it at the end. That's a fact. He should have got top 4. He had 8 games to go and he got it wrong. I think the team selection against Crystal Palace, he put Jenkinson against Zaha. He ripped him apart. We lost that game. The Europa League final, I do blame the players for that. To me, a manager shouldn't really need to motivate you for a final. I think they just got outplayed and didn't want it enough ultimately. Should Mikel Arteta, though, still be getting more out of this squad? Because as you said, he did get Thomas Partey, he did get Gabriel. He probably needed the creative midfielder and maybe 1 or 2 others. That's a fact. But this is a better team than what Unai Emery had. Unai Emery had Jenkinson, Lichtsteiner, Iwobi, these kind of players in it. The football also on the eye has been terrible this season. He finished the season well in the FA Cup. Should Mikel Arteta still be getting more out of what is in that dressing room at the moment?
Yeah, of course he should. 100% he should. On paper, Curtis. Because when you look at our squad on paper, it is better than a lot of the squads in the Premier League. But unfortunately, the game isn't played on paper. The game is played on a football pitch, and you have to perform once you cross that white line. That is the reason why I call some of the players. That's why I call it, because we are not playing well at the moment. Mikel Arteta, from what I know, he prepares the players correctly. I hear people talking about he sets them up negative. Rubbish. I've never heard so much rubbish in all my life. Which manager sends his players out to be negative at home? No chance. But if the players are lacking in confidence, if the players don't have that winning mentality, Curtis, if the players are just not playing well as a collective, it don't matter what system you use. It doesn't matter what you say to them. We are just not playing well enough, Curtis. And that it boils down to that. Because remember, it's the same players that we thought, wow, these guys are improving. Look, at one stage, we're saying Xhaka's improved. This one's improved. That one's improved. But they've reverted back to type. Unfortunately, Curtis, the chickens have come home to roost for Arsenal. Seriously, because for years and years and years, We've been battling the same thing, and it's gone under the radar.
Yeah.
We haven't recruited well. We don't have that winning mentality in the dressing room. We don't have that toughness that made us Arsenal. All of that is gone. And now we're scratching around expecting Mikel Arteta to all of a sudden magic these players into being consistent. It's not happening, mate. It's not.
Kev, give me 1 second. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
I just got to plug this charger in. My laptop's letting me down again.
No problem. And Curtis, I'll keep going because for the fan base,
yeah,
it is frustrating. I'm frustrated, but I look at it like, okay, when you look at the squad, Gabriel, Partey, great. They've just come.
Yeah.
They've just come. So we have to really rely. We can't say, yeah, they've performed at times. We can't say we're going to rely on them. We have to rely on others.
No.
Okay? People are talking about creativity. Again, that's nonsense. We do have creative players, but the creative players are not playing well.
No.
And when the creative players don't play well, we're going to struggle. Any team's going to struggle if your creative players don't play well. So, unfortunately for Mikel Arteta, we've hit some bumps in the road and the creases have to be ironed out and he has to find the right balance. That is the problem.
Having been in, Premier League dressing rooms before and you've played in Europe and stuff like that, have you ever played in a system, though, where you've actually thought to yourself, you know what? I feel like you're setting us up the wrong way. Not that you're saying the manager's doing his job wrong, but have you ever felt like, maybe the formation or the emphasis in the formation is not getting the best out of your team?
Here's the funny thing about systems and formations, Curtis. The system might not suit me.
Yeah.
But it might suit some of the other players.
Yeah.
So if you have to change the system in order to win the game, fine. Because isn't that what it's all about? Because Mikel Arteta, remember, he's looking at it, it's not his team. He has to make the most of what he's got. And it can't suit everybody, Curtis.
Yeah.
It can't suit everybody. Right? Now, playing 3 or 5 at the back, whatever, is that a negative system or is it an attacking system?
It's how you use it, really, isn't it, to me?
Thank you. But who has to produce? It's the players. The players, they'll practice it on the training ground, and it's always going to try and be an offensive system, but have defensive stability. But if the players don't play it in the correct way, it looks defensive. So I understand why the fan base turn around and say, it's a defensive system, he's setting them up wrong, blah, blah. But it doesn't matter because whether we play 3, whether we play 4, whether we change the players, it's all gone wrong. So what can the fans say? The fans can't say, they say he's got to change it. When he changes it, it don't improve. When he changes the system, it don't improve. So is it the manager or is it the players? You tell me, Curtis.
To me, I think it's a bit of both, because I would say that even when the formation changes, which he did change the formation, he went to 4 at the back. But as I said before, 5 at the back. Conte played 5 at the back, blew the league apart. So the formation can be negative or positive depending on how you're using it. I just think the transition is too slow. And at the end of last season in the FA Cup, we looked like we had a plan. You saw the way we played out from the back. We moved the ball quickly. Now we look very static the way we're getting the ball forward. And I suppose that is the players, but it seems like we're playing very deep, and it's almost like he doesn't trust this defense, which I can understand that because the defense isn't too good. But I think he has to release the handbrake a little bit and say, you know what? I have to try and score more goals. Go on, go on. I'm having a drink break. Go on, go on.
Time out.
Go
Can
on.
you tell me what releasing the handbrake means?
In my opinion, okay.
Yeah, of course, in your
I
opinion.
would say releasing the handbrake. I think a lot of these players are playing very rigid. They don't look to me like a team that's playing with freedom and interchanging and moving and players joining in the attack. It looks like we have one or two players attacking. They're hugging the touchline and there's no real movement and interplay. That would be my opinion.
So, is that the manager or is that the players?
But is he encouraging them to
No,
do
no,
that?
no, please, Curtis. Is that the manager or is that the players? I just need you to answer that because you're telling me the players are playing rigid.
Yeah, I would say so. I think we
So,
look
is
very
that the
rigid.
manager or is that the players?
But what I'm saying are
Curtis,
those
is it the manager or is it the
given?
players? This is very important, Curtis. This is very important. I'll tell you why it's important. Because if it's the manager and you say, oh, that's down to the manager, no, any manager that comes in can never win. He can never win. So you can go and you can name a manager in the world who you would have at the Emirates. Because if it's down to the manager, the players aren't playing well. You agree to that.
Yeah.
But if it's down to the manager, whether they play rigid or not, and then they're not playing well, we're going to constantly be changing players when the players don't play well. We're going to constantly be changing managers. As a player, you're a player. When you go out on the football pitch, it's not up to the manager whether you play free or not. It's your game. This is why they're professionals. This is why they get paid the money. They go out there, they've got to produce, Curtis. But the players have not been producing. It's that simple.
They haven't. Kev, a couple of days ago, I watched a documentary on Thierry Henry, just going off topic slightly here. And he was talking about, he was playing on the left wing at Barcelona for Pep Guardiola. And he said, when I was at Arsenal, I used to drift to the left and move in that sort of position. And he said, I was playing a game for Barcelona. And he said, I switched flanks because it wasn't working. And he said, I scored a goal, came in at half time, Pep pulled him off. And he said, I couldn't believe it because he said Arsene Wenger would not complain about that. He didn't mind people interchanging. And he said, Pep was like, no, this is the system. You follow what I've set out. So when I'm saying rigid and I'm saying possibly is it coming from the coach slightly? I know on the pitch you can express yourself. That's down to you. But what I mean is we're seeing Aubameyang at times hugging the touchline, putting crosses in. Is Mikel Arteta saying to them, you have to follow my blueprint and you haven't got that freedom to kind of move around and join in a little bit more? They were showing times when we're defending a corner and we had all 11 players back to defend that corner against Wolves. Now, that's very difficult if you're struggling in transition and your whole team is on the edge of your own box.
Yeah, but Curtis, you know it as well as I do. You defend as a team. There's no problem having 11 back from a corner. There's no problem. That's no problem. Look, the important part about Barcelona is this. They have a system that they stick to. They play the same system from La Masia all the way through to the first team, okay? And that's their system. Within that system, you're free not to switch sides or go where you want, but you are free within that framework to hurt the opposition.
Yeah.
That's what Thierry Henry's saying. He drifted out of position and he doesn't want him drifting out of position because there's a purpose to their play. That's not saying that he don't play well. That's not saying he can't play free, but there is a rigidity when they haven't got the ball or when they've got the ball. Pep likes you to be in a certain place, but that don't stop you from playing well. So we can't, if Pep could be like that, and Mikel Arteta asked the same, So we've seen the Arsenal players play well in the same system.
Yeah.
So we can't take it. Yeah, they've played well in that system, and now they're not playing well in the system. All of a sudden, it's the manager's fault. But when they play well, it's okay. No, it's either one way or the other. So what will it be? If the players ain't playing well enough, Curtis, the players ain't playing well enough. We've seen them play well in whatever system you name. We've seen them play well. We've seen them do it. But at the moment, the majority of the players are not playing as a collective and then just not playing well enough.
Kev, when you've played in the past and, you know, say a manager's been struggling and the team's struggling and eventually the manager has gone. I'm sure you've been in dressing rooms where you've changed manager during or at the end of a season. Sometimes, you know, new managers come in, different ideas, just a different way of doing things. And all of a sudden, we see the same team improve, not necessarily like they have achieved something massive, but sometimes things just change a little bit. Do you think Arteta is struggling because of his lack of experience and the fact, you know, people are saying the backroom staff, a lot of the, you know, we don't know who a lot of these backroom staff are. They seem to sit back a lot of the time on a match day. Do you think he's struggling a little bit because of his lack of experience?
No, I don't think so. And this is the thing, Curtis. It's amazing how people all of a sudden start to try and pick holes
when it's going wrong.
When it's going wrong, but when things are looking up, nobody mentioned the backroom staff. Nobody mentioned the backroom staff at Wembley when we beat Man City. Nobody mentioned the backroom staff when we beat Chelsea. Nobody mentioned the backroom staff when we beat Liverpool in the Community Shield. Nobody. But now, all of a sudden, the team ain't playing well, and it's just not great at the minute. You can pick holes in everything.
You can.
So again, I want people to have the same energy when things were going well, to understand when things ain't going right. But they don't. They pick holes and there's all this excuses. Mikel Arteta ain't doing this. He's got the handbrake on. No, the players are not playing well enough. It's that simple. It is that simple. And when the players do start playing well, we will pick up results. I can guarantee you.
We're looking at the previous seasons now. Obviously, we finished 8th last season. The year before, we finished 5th. We've seen players, say, for example, Aubameyang. You know, you being a striker, I've played up front as well. Aubameyang, since he's been at this club, everything has just happened for him. He scored 13 in the first 6 months when he joined. Then he won the Golden Boot. He finished 1 goal off last season. He's now hit a massive dip at the moment. He scored 2 in the opening 10. Doesn't look overly happy. Do you think that the attack has suffered because he has tried to make us more defensively stable and he's had to sort of sacrifice a little bit what we do going forward to do that?
Well, you can say that. Yes, you can say that. But again, we've seen Mikel Arteta set up defensive to catch teams on the break, and it's been successful. We've seen it. And Aubameyang's been the main goal scorer within that system, and people say he's playing out of position. But we've seen him score 20-odd goals from the left-hand side. And yes, it's a different time, it's a different season, so everything changes. But here's what I will say. Every goal scorer goes through barren spell.
Yeah.
I don't think Aubameyang's had a real barren spell at Arsenal.
No, he hasn't till now. Yeah.
Until now.
Yeah.
He's not susceptible to not having a barren spell. Every striker, it happens to every striker. The problem we've got is we are not good enough to get him through it quickly. We're not good enough. Because now we're inconsistent. We are so inconsistent. But if we're honest, we've been inconsistent under Arsene Wenger. We've been inconsistent under Unai Emery. We've been inconsistent even with Freddie for his short tenure,
Yeah.
and we've been inconsistent with Mikel Arteta. But getting up for the big games, your Sheffield United in the FA Cup, your Man City in the FA Cup, your Chelsea in the Cup final, it's easy for the players to get up for them games because there's a bit of silverware at the end.
Exactly.
But we're always going to be judged, Curtis, week in, week out in the Premier League. And these players have proven that they can't do it week in, week out in the Premier League. They've proven it. So is it a surprise that we're not playing well at the moment? Is it a surprise that we yo-yo? No, it is not a surprise to me. And I don't know why the fan base don't realize it's virtually the same players who have messed up season after season. Until Mikel Arteta gets rid of the players that he don't need, who have not got the winning mentality, who have not got the toughness, we're going to keep going through the same cycle.
Do you know what is, Kevin? This is what I genuinely believe. We're both looking at it the same way, but we're just kind of judging it from different sides, because you said there no one was talking about it when we won the FA Cup and the Community Shield. I look at it like this. When we won the FA Cup and Community Shield, Arteta got huge praise, and deservedly so. He'd come in, he'd never managed. He lifted that season from nowhere. It was a mess when he came in. But what I think that also did, it put a certain level of expectation into fans' minds that, hold on, this guy's been here 6 months. He's won the FA Cup, beaten some of these big teams. We looked like we had a good little style of football going as well. Mm-hmm. So I think on the back of the Partey, Willian, Gabriel deals, we felt kind of like, we've gone from there, FA Cup, believing something's going to happen this season.
100%.
And now we're 14th and we're seeing terrible performances. And we're like, I mean, I'm looking at the Premier League table now. Newcastle, Aston Villa, Southampton, West Ham. I'm just picking those ones out, for example. Teams that we finished above last season. They're scoring more goals than us. They're playing better football than us. Not all of them, but I'm looking at it going, how come Ancelotti joined at the same time? Everton looked to have a style. They look to be going somewhere. Mourinho joined a month before Arteta. They look to be going somewhere. I look at Arteta at the moment and I think, what is your plan? What is your style of football? You're changing formation. You're changing team. I understand the players are not good enough. There is at least half a team there you could still do with getting rid of. But I still believe he should be getting more out of that team.
Okay, you believe he should be getting more out of them. So the same players who have messed up season after season after season, Mikel Arteta takes them and gets a win in the FA Cup and produces some great performances. You expect them to be consistent all of a sudden. It's not happening, Curtis. Whether you like it or not, it is not happening.
14th though, Kev.
Yeah, but hold on a minute. How are you going to judge it? Are you going to judge it now, or are you going to judge it at the end of the season? Let's just talk about that.
He might not get till the end of the season.
No, but how? But we have to say, how are you going to judge it? Because what is it? 10 games in the league.
10 games, yeah.
10 games in the league. So we're not even a third of the way through the league. Still a lot of points to, and we're not going to be this bad all season. But the key to it is this, Curtis. It's the same players. What Mikel Arteta needs to do, he needs transfer window, and he needs to get players in and players out. And remember, in the summer, he tried to move and shake some of this squad.
Yeah, he did.
And he couldn't do it because nobody wants the players. So that tells you a lot about the past and the recruitment.
Yeah.
2, even the players didn't want to go because they're on such a good screw at Arsenal.
Of course. Big wages.
So again, he has to work with what he's got, Curtis. It's like trying to make a diamond out of a lump of coal. You can make it. He can make it. Could try and dress it up as much as he likes. The fact of the matter is, it is the same players who are not performing year in, year out. He got a tune out of them. Yes, he did. But if we're crazy enough to think that the same players will all of a sudden be consistent in the league when they've never really been consistent, we're the crazy ones. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I
we're
get
the
what
crazy ones. If we honestly think Granit Xhaka and others are going to be consistent in this league to take us to the top 4, no. Also, here's another one for you.
Go on.
They've tasted a little bit of success.
Yeah.
Winning the FA Cup and the Community Shield. Nice bit of silverware under Mikel Arteta. Great. So you think to yourself, right, like most fans do, we're going to kick on. They haven't got the capacity to kick on, Curtis. Because 1, they're not good enough consistently. And 2, which is the most important thing, that Arsenal will to win that we've had from 86 right through most of the Wenger years, it's no longer at the club. And every fan who thinks it is there must be crazy. Because it's been gone 10 years plus. Here's how we know. Centre back and a centre midfielder has never been addressed until this summer. We've seen it year after year. Emery came in, he never even addressed it. Why?
Well,
Why was it not addressed?
If you hear what Emery said when he left the club, to be fair, he says he wasn't given the players he wanted. He said he wanted Zaha, he wanted Fabinho, and I think he said Harry Maguire.
Well, listen. He's the manager. He took the job. And before you sign, you've got to make sure you fill the gaps, right?
Yeah.
That's part and parcel of you coming in as manager. So if he doesn't get the players that he wants, he's got to say, hold on a minute, this ain't what I signed up for.
Yeah.
But my issue was with Emery, and I don't really want to speak because Emery's a good manager.
He's a good manager. And you do Spanish football. Look how well he's doing.
He's an experienced manager. But Curtis, the same players still nosedived with him. And come the end of his tenure, everybody wanted him out because there was like 5 captains and Granit Xhaka throwing it. He lost the dressing room completely. So let's have it right. It's the same players virtually that didn't do it at the back end of Wenger, didn't do it at the back end of Emery. Obviously, small time with Freddie, so we can't even call that.
No, I don't call that. No.
And now there was a lift with Arteta, and now they've reverted back to type. Are we surprised? I'm not surprised.
No. Let me get into a couple of these super chats. Over 1,100 of you watching right now. Hit that like button and subscribe as well. Subscribe to Kevin Campbell's channel as well. One Kevin Campbell, very good channel. Baldev says, big up Super Kevin Curtis. Tell me which manager will come here realistically and improve this team under this board and their restrictions. Do you think this is a very difficult board to work with? Are they in cahoot with the manager, or a lot of people still saying Arteta wasn't back sufficiently in the summer? Do you think the board did enough in that transfer window, Kev?
It's definitely a difficult board to work with because here's the problem why. Before Mikel Arteta came in, Curtis, I wanted Allegri.
Okay.
I wanted Allegri in. I never Arteta wasn't even in my head. I wanted Allegri. But the problem with Allegri or an Ancelotti or somebody like that, they're going to want anybody. They're going to want backing.
Yeah.
They're going to want backing because they know the squad isn't good enough.
Yeah.
They don't want the experienced guys because they're not going to back them fully. And you have to move and shake with the current squad. Mikel Arteta, He came in, right, great, my first job. I know the club. I could get down to work. And nobody could say we never saw some improvement. It wasn't great, but we saw some improvement and we ended up with a trophy.
Yeah.
But with those big managers, they're going to want the opportunity to go and get the players that they want. Not happening. Arteta now is trying to work with players that can't even play. Teams don't want them, Curtis. So there has to be some balancing with this FFP, etc. Players have to go in order to bring players in. The players don't want to leave. So you know you're working handicapped.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. You know, you're working with one hand behind your back because one, you can't change players. Oh, you can't reduce the wage bill and then bring players in because the players, one, no club wants them, and two, they won't leave because they're on such a good screw. That makes the manager's job even more difficult. So, could you get a big name manager coming in? No, because they won't come under those circumstances.
No, that's a great point. Let me just read this super chat. I am king. I apologize, bro. Your super chat's disappeared off the chat, but I can read it. It says, I agree our midfield is embarrassing, but Arteta is missing something. His style isn't going to change. He's just going to bring in players to play in his style. If he stays, we'll always be boring. Thank you very much for your super chat. Sorry I couldn't highlight it. Do you think that, you know, because you said yourself there you wanted Allegri. I wanted Mourinho. Regardless of who we wanted, I think you can see from those two managers, we both wanted a big manager, someone who we felt could shake things up a little bit. Do you think they brought in Mikel Arteta because they felt like he would be a lot easier to control? He couldn't make huge demands. He would be a little bit more quiet than an Allegri, a Mourinho, and Ancelotti, for example.
No, I don't think that. I honestly think they brought Arteta in because they wanted a young manager who will work with the program. They haven't got bundles of money to spend. And if Allegri's coming in, or Mourinho or Ancelotti, they're going to want money to spend.
Yeah.
Arsenal just ain't that. They're not that club. Arsenal have spent money, but the recruitment's been awful.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, Curtis. The recruitment at Arsenal's been awful, and you know about the recruitment when you make signings and then you can't even get rid of those signings.
Yeah,
that's what tells you that the recruitment's been awful, and that goes back years. But let's not even go there. They've got Arteta in because Arteta is willing to work with what he's working with, and it might take him to get to the summer. Now, will it improve? I believe it will improve. But obviously, results have to improve too. Because the faithful aren't stupid. They need to see something to keep it going.
Yeah.
It's really important. And I'm not saying that, you know, we have to be blowing everybody away, but everybody needs to see that little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah, I could see what he's doing. I could see. At the moment, we can't because we're just playing awful.
Does that not worry you, though, Kev? Yeah, I know you're an Arsenal fan as well as an ex-player. When you're watching these games, are you not thinking this is really, really bad what we're watching at the moment?
Curtis, I see it, but remember, I have to look at it from both sides because I look at it as a fan. And believe me, I've been in that dressing room when it hasn't been going right.
Yeah.
And believe you me, the manager prepares you to play the right way. But it's when you're out on the pitch, it's about delivering performances. And at the moment, the team are not delivering the performances. So that's why when people talk about the handbrakes on it, he's got to let the handbrake off. The manager never sends you out with a handbrake on. It's the players are not delivering the performances on the pitch. That's the way it boils down. So I get both. I understand what the way fans feel because I'm a fan. But luckily, I've been on the inside. I know it's the players that need to deliver. It's always the players who need to deliver, Curtis.
I mean, Kev, at what point I mean, because it is the players, and I agree with that. But ultimately, it's easier for clubs to get rid of one manager than it is to get rid of 10, 11 players. If this form continues or it doesn't improve by much, at what point do you think, do you know what? Maybe he is in danger here.
Curtis, what I believe is Mikel Arteta can't get to January quick enough.
Yeah.
I truly believe he can't get to January quick enough. Because the recruitment, they have to start the recruitment again. Because he's brought in certain key pieces. He's working with players that maybe are not good enough for what he wants. Because if he has to wait until next summer, the toxicity might be crazy.
He's lucky the fans aren't in probably at the moment.
Right. But what he's got to do, remember, there's only certain windows that open.
Yeah.
He's got to keep that recruitment drive going. And there's a lot of players at the club who should be gone. We know that.
Of course.
So in order to get the players in he wants, he has to get rid of players. So this January is going to be really, really important for Mikel Arteta because the fan base needs to see progress.
Have to.
I get that, Curtis, and I will never say any different because I know the fan base. If the fan base see improvement, the fan base will stick with him, even though at the moment it's terrible. As long as everybody starts seeing some progress, they'll say, right, I could see what he's looking to do. Fair enough. But Mikel Arteta can't get to January quick enough. Believe you me, he can't. If he gets to January and there's no moving and shaking going on, and it continues, then the fan base are going to go. They're going to go spare, mate. They're going to go crazy.
I mean, the thing is, are we going to do much in January? We've still got a massive squad, big wage bill. I don't imagine many players leaving Arsenal in January because these guys will see out their contract, no doubt. So, do you expect us to bring anyone in?
I do. Curtis, let me tell you something. I do because whether we like it or not, the clock that Mikel Arteta has in his head is just been sped up because of the performances.
Yeah.
So he might be thinking, we'll go along steady and I'll have 4 or 5 transfer windows. No,
that's out the window now.
That's out the window because if they get to January and they don't make the signings and this continues, the fans are going to be calling for it. They're calling for his head now. So what would it be like then? So it's got to split. That clock in his head has got to speed up. We have to improve. And the only way we're going to improve to what he wants and what we want is him getting the certain players in that he needs. And it might not be everybody he wants, but he's got to bring in certain key players to improve us. He's got to.
Yeah. So, of course, we got Tottenham this weekend. It's a massive game for him because, talk to me about that game just before we get into looking ahead to that game. You've played in the North London derby. Of course, the stadium's been full when you've played. I think Tottenham are allowed 2,000 fans. It won't be the most lively it's been, but what is that game like to play in, especially for you being an Arsenal fan? What is the whole general feeling about that game?
Well, just like any North London derby, it's a must-win game, but it's also, Curtis, you better not lose game.
Yeah, and I knew you was going to say that.
That's a better not lose game, more so than you got to win. It's a better not lose because the local pride and all that, and especially where they are in the league. To us, we're getting memed. We're getting hammered by these guys because over the last few years in the league, they've been better than us. They have been better than us. It was great that we could rub it in their nose by winning the FA Cup last season. Wasn't it?
That was nice.
Even though you did better than us in the league, we're still winning trophies.
Yeah.
but we're not playing well. They're playing better under Mourinho. Mourinho's fattened that squad out now, and they've been pretty consistent how they play. But you know the great thing about a North London derby? Your league position don't matter. These players can redeem themselves with a win. And I'm not saying it's gonna just make everybody forget these last topsy-turvy games, but it will make everybody feel a lot better if Arsenal could get a win. Or just not to lose. I think that would be a big tick in the box. So again, playing in these games is high pressure, big time pressure. But again, can the players motivate themselves to play in these games and to compete? That's the key. We've got to be able to compete in these games. So there's no, not tracking back, because we've seen how the way Spurs break, not tracking back and letting them counter us. No, you've got to play with a level of toughness and understanding of what you're doing. So, however Mikel Arteta sets up, I don't know how he's going to set up, whether it's a 4, whether it's a 3, whether it's a 5, but we've got to be the team in the ascendancy. And that comes down to the players, because do you know what, Curtis? The manager shouldn't even need to talk.
Yeah, for a game like this, derby. I just want to quickly round up on Arteta before we look ahead to the game. Man management, of course, is a key thing in football. From my own point of view, some of the best managers I've played for have not even been unbelievable tactically. They've known how to manage people, man management. A lot of questions have been asked about Arteta this season. William Saliba is one that no one seems to be able to understand that one. Even you're shaking your head at that one. And certain games where he's tried something, it hasn't quite worked. Willian up front against Manchester City. And, apparently he asked Xhaka to stay in January when he had a move there. I almost feel like Mikel Arteta has made this job even more difficult for himself by some of the decisions he's making. He seems like a strong man, so I'm sure he's very sure of what he wants to do. Do you think that you can see that he's a manager trying to learn while he's managing, and that's why maybe he is struggling a little bit, because he's never done it before, let's face it?
Well, to take the first points, look, he is learning on the job. We know that. Everybody knows that. But we've seen him improve these players to the point where he wins a trophy against clubs who have spent a king's ransom. Let's get that right.
Man City, Chelsea.
And Chelsea. Man City and Chelsea have spent king's ransoms on their squad, and he has outwitted them. He outwitted Pep in the semi-final. Never heard anything about he can't manage these players. Never heard anything about, we weren't tactically aware or anything like that. Then against Lampard, which was a really important proving ground against Chelsea, because we know Chelsea got some really good players. After going a goal down, we adjusted and we outplayed Chelsea in the end. We did. We outplayed them, ended up beating them 2-1, winning the FA Cup. Great. So anybody who talks about he can't manage, you're talking nonsense, because he's proven he can. Here's the key, though, Curtis. That was last season. We're talking about this season now, where the players have had a little bit of success. Has it gone to their head? I believe Mikel Arteta can't believe some of these players, because the way he motivated them last season should hold him in good stead for this season. But we know these players consistently are not there. They're not there. So you can't blame Mikel Arteta for that, because these are the cards he's dealt. But here's the issue. I've always said Mikel Arteta needed to be more ruthless.
Yeah.
And with players that aren't good enough, he needs to chop them.
Yeah, no problem with that.
William Saliba, For the life of me, I cannot work out how this guy hasn't even got a sub spot in the first team or been on the pitch. I don't know. So Mikel Arteta, for me, this is a problem, a real problem, because I'm seeing Mustafi come back from injury and go straight into the first team squad, and Saliba's there and he's not even coming in the first team squad. Mustafi's coming in ahead of Saliba. No, for me, no chance.
Madness.
So that's one thing against Arteta for sure. 2, he's giving some of the youngsters a chance, which people are asking for, which is great. See Balogun come and score a goal in the Europa. Great. People have been asking, he needs to change it. He needs to change it. But whether he keeps the same or he changes it, the form hasn't been great, Curtis. So is it a point of the man management style, or is it a point that he's trying to still motivate the team, but the team just ain't playing well enough right now? And I think the latter, solely because he has proven he can motivate these players. But right now, they have not been great. But the buck stops with the manager. Of course it does. And there needs to be a balance. We've seen Pepe come out and say he wants to play more. He puts Pepe in. Pepe gets sent off. That's not the manager's fault.
No, that one isn't. Definitely not.
You understand? That's not the manager's fault. So, again, he can't be. Sometimes I think to myself, is it Arteta or is it the players? And I know because I've been on the inside.
Yeah.
He sets them up in the right way because he's proven that they can perform. But just right now, there's probably eight players not playing well enough right now. And no matter what system he plays or no matter who he puts in, we're just not performing.
Kev, we've seen in the past, Chelsea won the FA Cup, finished outside the top 4. Conte was sacked. Louis van Gaal, the same at Man United. We've seen Harry Redknapp win the FA Cup, Wigan win the FA Cup. Do we need to kind of put into context that, look, winning that FA Cup was great. It was fantastic for us as fans. But in a way, does that still not even prove how good a manager Mikel Arteta is? Because as you said earlier, it's in what you can produce every week in the Premier League. And ultimately, Arteta has not done great as Arsenal manager in the Premier League. So the same way we can compliment him for winning the FA Cup, do we also have to say, well, hang on a minute, you're not good enough at the moment in the Premier League, even though we know there are players that you need to move on?
100% you could say you're not good enough in the Premier League right now. Because the results don't lie, Curtis.
I'm going to record that bit, but you know that 5 seconds, I'm recording that bit.
Record it. No, record it because, look, at the end of the day, it's a results business.
Yeah.
I get that. It's a results business. And Arteta will be judged on the results. That's what everybody's doing. Yeah. Arteta's not good enough. The results are bad. The results are bad. The results are bad. I get that. But here's the issue. Everybody could say, is it Arteta's team? Is it not Arteta's team? Should he be getting more from these players? Yes, he should be getting more from the players because he's proven he can. But can he consistently get more from these players when the players have never really proven that they can be consistent in the league over a long period? He's not a magician. He prepares them. He puts them out on the pitch. And that's what he does. But they've just not been great right now. So we're 10 games in and we're not brilliant. We're far from brilliant. We're poor. And it's painful, Curtis. You're in pain. I'm in pain. And I know all the fan base are in pain. We hate this position.
Yeah.
But this position has been there from the Wenger times. If we're honest. Unai Emery took it on.
It's got even worse.
Yeah, but do you know why it's got worse? Because we tasted a bit of success. As you mentioned, that expectation level went up a notch because Mikel Arteta done so well with this group of players.
Mm.
But we can't lose sight of what he's dealing with. He's dealing with the same players who messed up in the league when they could have made the Champions League under Emery. And they should have made the Champions League. Because what was it? It was those 2 games, Curtis. Crystal Palace at home and Brighton at home.
Yeah, I was at both of them. Shocking.
Yeah, so it's the same. It's the same players still underachieving.
Yeah.
So what Mikel Arteta's got to do, he's got to, again, that clock that's in his head of recruitment has to be sped up. He's got to be ruthless, and he's got to get rid of some of these players and get the proper his players in as quickly as possible.
At what point would you say, now I really need to judge him? Do you think he has to have at least till the end of the season?
I would say so. Because we have to listen. If we see shoots of improvement to the end of the season, and don't forget, Curtis, it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
Yeah.
We've seen Arsenal, and maybe not this bad, but we've seen Arsenal struggle before and then go on a run. This team could do that. They can do that because, again, you look at the quality that's in this team. They can do that. But right now, it looks as though they can't do anything right. But it will change because class is permanent. But the one thing we do know that consistently, they can't do it consistently over a season. So I'd rather have our bad spell now and then go on and finish like a train. If that's going to happen, great. If it doesn't happen, then obviously we'll have to look at what happens at the end of the season.
Why do you think that, because we talk about Emery there, they did mess up at the end of that season. But considering the team he walked into, that was very, very, I know it's not getting there, but that was very close to being an unbelievable season for Arsenal, considering the team we had. Why do you think at that time everyone was saying, get him out, it's the manager, but under Arteta, people are sort of saying, no, it's the players, and not kind of blaming the manager as much?
Yeah, I truly believe Emery, if he would have qualified for the Champions League, either in the Europa or the league, would have been given more time.
Yeah.
But the problem is, Curtis, getting close isn't good enough.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Being close is nowhere. So would you take getting close but never getting there? That's not what Arsenal do. We're about winning trophies. That's that lot down the road, getting close, and not getting over the line. The key point is this. Mikel Arteta got across the line in a trophy and won a trophy with the same players. So that ticks a box. Expectation level goes up. Fine. No problem with the expectation level going up. Then what that does, it puts more onus on the players. That's what expectation does. That's why you have to have better mentality. That's why you have to have that toughness to perform. These players haven't shown it over the course of these years. So can they deal with expectation? No, they couldn't deal with expectation playing Crystal Palace and Brighton at home. Yeah. And then in the Europa League playing Chelsea. They couldn't deal with it. Under Arteta, they proved that they can handle a bit of expectation in the FA Cup, where we were the underdog against Man City and the underdog against Chelsea. They proved that they can do it. But now people are expecting them to win. They can't handle it, Curtis. It's that simple. Well, it's that simple to me because I've been on the inside. With the expectation level from the fan base comes, you have to have that strong and you have to play with that, your heart. I don't believe we have that in this squad. And that's been missing for a decade, as far as I'm concerned. And it's just not going to happen like that.
Overnight. No, you're right. But do you know what is for me, just overall? I don't expect miracles from Mikel Arteta because we all know that this team is not good enough. What I will say, the things that I want to see, number one, I want to see players improving. Maybe you can't improve everyone, but I want to be able to pick a handful of players and say he's improved him, and him. To be fair, Emery improved some of the players who were there at the time. I want to see a style of football. I know what you're saying. It's down to the players in a sense, but it is also down to the manager to get them in the system that works for them, get us to play a certain way. I want to see a consistent lineup. You know what? Every time the team comes out an hour before, I'm like, it could be anyone. It could be 3 at the back, 4 at the back, Willian up front, Willian right. Pepe's probably not going to play. He might be suspended. Do we not need a little bit of stability in the selection? Go on. I'm going to need a beer after this, Kev.
Curtis, let me ask you a question. If the players are not good enough, if the players are not good enough, and I mean that generally,
yeah.
How can you have a consistent 11?
But
hold on. They're not Seaman and all the famous back four, the team that every week you can pick. You could change 1 or 2, but that the team. The team. We haven't had that for years, Curtis. And why haven't we had that for years? Because they're not good enough or they're not consistent enough. I keep hearing the same argument. Oh, he don't know his best 11. He definitely don't know his best 11 because they're not good enough. They're not good enough.
Okay, if you look here, I would look, and I agree to a certain extent, but you would say Leno would get in everyone's Arsenal team. If we were picking the team, we'd have Leno, we'd all have Tierney and Gabriel in, possibly some of us would have Saliba in. We'd have Partey in there, you would have Aubameyang in there, most of us would have Saka in there. I would probably have Pepe in there as well ahead of Willian. That's 8 of your 11. And then maybe you've got 3 who, okay, them 3 are not good enough. You might have to chop and change a Bella in, a Ainsley, Maitland-Niles, a Ceballos or whatever.
But that ain't a set team.
But at least it's 8 of the 11.
No, that's not a set team. That's not a set team. Pepe blows hot and cold. We know he's got talent. He's got incredible talent, but he blows hot and cold. Curtis, who's going to sit in midfield with Partey?
Yeah, that's a big problem. Of course, we know that.
And you know the truth, Curtis? You can take a little bit of Ceballos, you could take a little bit of El Nene, and you could take a little bit of Xhaka, and that would be the perfect person to sit beside. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to knit them all together to get a partner for Partey in the midfield. But we haven't got that. Partey's injured at the moment. Ceballos and Xhaka improved at the back end of last season, and they were beating better teams than we've played in a Man City and Chelsea, but their level has dropped. That ain't down to the manager, that's down to the player. When your level drops as a player, the manager don't drop your level as a player. So let's look at this. What is your job as a player, Curtis? You are paid to perform. You train, you're picked, and you're paid to get out on that pitch and perform. That's your job. So if you're a creative player, that's what you do. If you're a goal scorer, you expect to get chances and finish. If you're a defender, you're expected to defend. If you're a midfielder, you protect the back four, and then you create, you get on the ball and do. But if you're not doing your job, you cannot say it's because the manager set us up in a different system. No, it's your job to perform. That's why it's a results business for the manager, but it's a performance-based business and a winning business for the players. And that's why I say Mikel Arteta has got some of the players improving. We've seen it before, but right now, they're not playing well enough. They're not performing to the best of their levels because virtually everybody has dropped. Probably Gabriel gets away because I think Gabriel's been really good.
Yes.
Leno has been okay. Tierney at times has been good. He's probably struggling because the team has struggled. Saka's kind of dropped to level. You tell me which player has played up apart from really Gabriel. El Neni showed improvement, I feel. But how many others are playing to their, not even to the height? How many of them are playing to 80% of their capacity? Curtis, they're not.
Well, Kev, surely, if you've got 2 or 3 or 4 players out of form, I would look at it and go, well, that's got to be down to them. But if you can only really pick out maybe Leno and Gabriel out of the whole team who is playing well, maybe Saka as well, surely that has to have something to do with the manager. There's a reason that Mourinho gets 15 million and Pep gets 20 million, because these managers can bring something to the table that certain other managers can't. There's got to be some sort of blame laid at Mikel Arteta that you're not coaching these players properly. You're not getting enough out of them.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Curtis. You talk about more experienced managers who have done bits in the league and around Europe. But look at the squads they've inherited. Is the Spurs squad, when Mourinho took over, more consistent than the Arsenal squad?
It has been, yeah, in the league, yeah.
No,
yeah.
Was it? Just was it? Was it
overall?
More?
Well, remember, it was below us when he took over.
No, it doesn't matter. He took over a squad that had got to the Champions League final. Whether we like it or not, the squad was better than us. They were more consistent than us. These are just facts. They're not a better club than us, but they were more consistent than us. So Mourinho going in there realizes, I need more. And what happens at Spurs? Whether we like it or not, they back the manager. He went out there and he got the key pieces to fatten that squad up.
They spent less than us in the summer, Kev.
That's not what I'm saying. They can spend less because they're further along the road than we are. Because they're already more consistent than us, and they've already got to a Champions League final. God forbid they'd have bloody won it, but glad they didn't. But think about it. Mourinho takes over that squad, who are further down the road than us. We're still searching for consistency. They've got the consistency. They just haven't won the trophies, if we're honest. Yeah. And we don't want them to win trophies. But we've got our time clock, again, has to speed up because we can't have them running away from us. We've got to catch them. And because they're doing so much better, that brings extra pressure on. Curtis, whether we like it or not, we hate seeing them where they are. But that brings extra pressure on Mikel Arteta to deliver. He hasn't got the players. He hasn't got the horses to deliver yet. He's improved some players and he's proved them in certain games. But the consistency level is not there. And until they improve the consistency level, which there's only 2 ways of doing it. It's either the players improve and step up and have that winning mentality, which is not there, or Mikel Arteta has to bring the players in to improve that. And that's what he's got to do, because we've seen over the years, these players just haven't got it in them.
No, you're right. But again, I agree with what you're saying about Spurs, definitely further down the road. I think the criticism for Arteta has been this season. Last season, I don't think Arsenal fans really complained. We finished the season great. But this season, we're not talking about Tottenham and Chelsea and Man City. We're talking about Southampton, Aston Villa, Wolves, Everton. 5-6 points clear of us. 7-8 goals clear of us. So surely we have to start saying, you've got to get more out of us than that.
Curtis, it's 10 games gone.
But 10 games is 10 games, Kev. It's nearly,
yeah,
it's a quarter of the season.
Curtis, look, it's 10 games gone.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if we're going to panic at every bump in the road, And we're going to say, get rid of him, sack him. What happens when the next manager takes over? And we hit a bad patch. What's going to happen? Are we going to sack the next manager? When we've seen this manager improve certain players and win a trophy, get us over the line, which a more experienced manager couldn't do, are we going to panic and get rid of him? So if we're going to get rid of Arteta, who are we going to get in?
You said you wanted Allegri. He's available. Poch is available.
Hold on. Poch has won nothing. Poch has won nothing.
Allegri,
right? No, Allegri, but Allegri won't come because they won't back him financially. So who do you get?
Well, there's the problem then. Part of the problem is the board.
Poch. Well, we know that because, as we said at the start, 10 years ago, the recruitment and all that, this is where the chickens have come home to roost now.
Yeah.
The chickens have come home to roost because we have never wanted to be the best 10 years ago. We were just ticking along, qualifying. Oh, yeah, we finished top 4, qualifying for Champions League or whatever. And everybody took it. Even Gazidis and all these guys were talking about, yeah, we go to the Emirates and we're going to be wanting to battle with everybody at the top. Next minute, it came out to metrics. Absolute bollocks. We know that. Absolute bollocks. And everybody then saw the charade.
Yeah, afterwards.
But the chickens have come home to roost now because all of a sudden, after 10 years, Mikel Arteta knew I need a centre-back and I need a centre midfielder. That's for starters. And he rectified that. Why didn't Arsene Wenger do that? Why didn't Unai Emery do that?
But Wenger should have done.
Yeah, but he never.
Saying what happened.
But he never, Curtis. And this is the issue. We've seen it for over a decade. But the manager, Arsene Wenger, is a legend. Top manager. He never addressed it. Unai Emery, who is an experienced manager, he never addressed it. When really, he should have addressed it. And probably you would say, as opposed to buying Nicolas Pepe, he should have bought a centre-half. And a centre midfielder. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Especially at the price we paid for him as well.
Exactly. So you're telling me you couldn't have done a deal for Koulibaly? You understand where I'm going?
Yeah.
You could have went all out and got a Koulibaly or whoever. Anyway, we didn't do that. Mikel Arteta comes in, and the first things he does, having got to a transfer window, was buy a centre midfielder and a centre back. Obviously, there's other periphery players, but he knows he's got to change the culture because the culture is not an Arsenal culture. He's been in the dressing room. He knows. And any fan who knows the Arsenal culture knows these players don't have the Arsenal culture. Some might, but no. The Arsenal culture is not there. That win, even when you're not playing well, can we grind? No. Because when this team don't play well, we can't grind anything because we end up getting beat by, as you quite rightly said, Aston Villa, Leicester, all these teams beat us because we're not grinders, because they've had a little bit of success, but they're not tough enough mentally or physically. And this is what Mikel Arteta has a lot of things to rectify. He has a lot. And that mentality is number one.
How do we, assuming Arteta stays till the end of the season, which I think he will at least till the end of the season, how can he improve things? As you said, we're not going to make wholesale changes in January. We may get 1 or 2 in. How does he finish this season well and get us something? What does he have to do as manager to try and improve things?
Well, he's got to believe in what he's doing, which I truly believe he does. He's proven that he can get a song out of some of these players. He's proven that. At the moment, he's not got a song out of them because they're not playing well enough. But I believe over the course of a season, he will get a song out of them. As I said a little bit earlier, he cannot get to January quick enough because he needs to change certain players. He does.
Yeah.
And also, what he needs to do, he needs to look at who he's got in the squad, like a Saliba. Why is he not? Why is he not getting a game? Ainsley Maitland-Niles, we've got an England international who's not even playing. He's not even getting a look in. So he's got to look. He's got to look in the mirror at himself on that one. 100%. I agree with anybody who says about those stuff. 100%. Ainsley Maitland-Niles needs to play, and whether it's at the expense of Bellerin or whatever the system to get him in, he's proven that he can perform. Saliba, I want to see Saliba. I want to see Saliba without a doubt. I want to see him. I don't want to see Mustafi. I want to see Saliba.
No one wants to see that. I think there's talk of Saliba going on loan in January now back to Saint Etienne, so you may not see him for 6 months.
We may not, but I truly believe Mikel Arteta. Listen, Mikel Arteta is learning on the job. Yes, he is. But the fact of the matter is, he's proven that he can make changes and improve certain players. But it's not his team yet. Get to January and get Edu moving and shaking, because we need that. Clock is sped up now, Curtis, or else his head's on the block.
Big time, big time. North London derby this weekend. Massive game. Like, I'm looking forward to it because it is an exciting game to watch. But obviously, I'm a little bit nervous because I'm thinking they're top of the league. They're going to be really up for it. As you said, we don't know whether our team have got the fight, and that's the thing. What worries me as a fan. But what do you think about this game? And depending on the result, how big do you think this result can be for Mikel Arteta, whether he wins it or obviously worst case scenario if we lose it?
Well, you look at it. It can be the turning point, can't it, of the season?
Yeah.
And I'd like to think, I really would like to think, that the players are going to turn up. I mean, it's been quite a while since, in the big games, we get blown away. At least we've been in the games. I'm not saying we win every one, but we've been in the games. So I expect the players to turn up. Can we lose the game? Of course we can lose the game, because at times we haven't been playing well. But this is a redeemer. We can redeem some of that pride that Arsenal have. We could redeem some of that swagger. We've lost our swagger, man. We used to have swagger. We've lost the swagger. You know, players have to perform. We played them last season, and they beat us. They beat us 2-1 after Lacazette scored a great goal to start, and we shot ourselves in the foot.
Yeah.
Now,
silly mistakes.
Can we beat Spurs? Of course we can beat Spurs. Of course we can. It's going to be difficult, but can we beat them? Yes, we can. Each player has to up his level for this game. Definitely. Each player has to. If we up our level, we can beat them.
I think, as you said, it's a must-win game, but it's a must-not-lose game, because if we win that game, I think it could be a massive turning point for the manager. And I really, really hope he gets it right, because as much as I'm questioning Mikel Arteta and almost being critical of him, I hope he gets it right, because I think we need stability at the club. I actually don't want us to keep changing manager. I just want us to have the right manager. So,
you want us to win, Curtis?
I want us to win. I'm sick of watching us and playing like this.
Curtis, you know, at the end of the day, it's fair to question him. Everybody, as I said, every opinion is valid. You can question him. You can question the team. You can question team selection. You can question systems. You can question everything. At the end of the day, Curtis, it comes down to results, because it's a results business. If we don't beat Spurs, the knives are going to be out. Of course they are, because they always are if we lose to our rivals. But I'd much rather be positive and look at if we win. If we win, that puts some cement in. Look at they're at the top, and we could beat them.
Yeah.
We can beat them. So I don't want no doom and gloom. I want Mikel Arteta to to get into the boys, and I want the boys to go out there and perform like Arsenal players, man. Let's make us proud. Make us proud.
You're spot on, Kevin. That's why I wanted to finish the conversation in a positive way. You know, we need to go there and get a result. And sometimes when your back's against the wall, that's when you see what people are really made of. So these players, at the same time, I've been critical of Arteta, but these players do need to stand up and be counted and you know, defend this manager. They all bigged him up in the summer and signed new contracts. They need to actually stand up for him and perform.
Curtis, if they don't perform at the weekend, what does it tell us about the players?
It tells you everything you need to know about them.
In a North London derby, if the players don't turn up, it just cements everything we know about them. It's cement because it's a mentality, Curtis. It shouldn't take the North London derby to get them up.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean? It shouldn't take the North London derby. Every time they cross that white line with that badge on their chest, they should be turning up. That's my point.
Yeah.
And that's not down to Mikel Arteta. That's down to the players and whoever's in the shirt. So I get people might not agree with me, but luckily I've been in the dressing room. And every time you cross that white line, let me tell some of these people who watch. As an Arsenal player, you get the best of every single team.
Yeah.
Your Southamptons and your Aston Villas, and they come because you're at Arsenal. You're playing the Arsenal. So you get their best, and that's why your level has to be not there. Your level has to be here when you play for Arsenal. So that's in your heart, your mentality, and your performance. But we're not seeing it because I don't think these players truly understand what it is to play for Arsenal. If I'd now had a little bit of success, but the consistency isn't there, and that's because the mentality isn't right.
No, you're right. You know, listen, people saying there, Kev's brainwashed me. No, but you know what is? Listen, I always take in people's opinions, and listen, you're more qualified than anyone to talk about what happens in that dressing room. I've still got my opinion on Arteta, but I listen and I take it in. And look, I wanted to end the chat in a positive way. I don't want it to be an Arteta slanging match. We're looking ahead to a big game. And as we always say, things can change quickly in football. As much as I'm not liking what I'm seeing, we're 5 points off the top 4. If we can get a run together, the season isn't over. But at the moment, it's not looking great. But we look ahead to the next game and things can change. So try and finish it off in a positive way.
I would love to see Arsenal go out there, perform, and beat them on their own patch.
It'd be brilliant.
Win the game. And you know what? Just temper down some of this uneasiness and unhappiness, because I truly believe Arteta will get it right. And you know what? You can challenge him. Of course you can. It's what fans do. But I still think Arteta, it's not Arteta's team yet. He will get his team right eventually. But that clock has to be sped up.
Yeah, no, I agree. Listen, Kev, it's been a pleasure to have you on, you know. So I feel like we've been in the ring just sparring for an hour.
Curtis, listen, I've been sparring you and I've been sparring some of those guys in the chat. But listen, no, this is the truth. I love you all, whether you agree with me or not, or you think I'm, brainwashing, trying to brainwash Curtis or whatever. I'm just telling it from my point of view. And that's all I can do. And listen, I love coming on your channel, Curtis, and I hope you can have me on again sometime, mate.
Listen, the pleasure's all mine, bro. I really appreciate it. Thank you for coming on. Big up everyone in the comments. Thanks for all your chats. Over 1,500 of you in here. Subscribe to Kevin Campbell's channel, One Kevin Campbell. Subscribe to my channel. Hit the like for this video. I'll be back again tomorrow at 2 o'clock. And let's hope we're celebrating a North London derby victory, Kev.
Hey, the Gunners, listen, we're all Arsenal. We all love Arsenal, although they frustrate us.
Yeah.
Come on, you Gunners, man. It's time.
Come on. We got to win this one.